Nachos don't have to be bad for you. You just have to make them with the right ingredients. So, if you've got your nacho apron on, let's do this. First thing is you preheat the oven to 425, which I've done. Now before I do anything else, I'm going to chop a tomato. And the reason is, one reason for getting soggy nachos is too much moisture. So I'm going to take a nice big fresh tomato and cut it, and we're going to drain it. I take a strainer like this, put the tomatoes in there, and the whole time you're doing everything else, these are going to be draining, and you're going to have crispy, crunchy nachos. Now, there are two things you have to make beforehand. One of them is refried beans. Now, you can use canned ones, they won't be as good. It just takes about 10 minutes to make refried beans. It's really, really easy. You take a saucepan like this. I have it preheated to about medium-high. You take 2 teaspoons of olive oil, or you could use canola oil too. About 2 teaspoons of oil. About a half cup of onion. Love that sound. A small clove of garlic, or half of a large clove of garlic. And you saute this for about 2 minutes until the onions start to brown a little bit. You put in the whole can, right? Watch this, with the juice. All right? And that's really all it takes to make refried beans. You mix this in, and then you start to mash right away to get the little bit of oil in there into the beans. So you mash them up. And you're going to mash it maybe once or twice more, but just get it started like that. And then you cook this at a medium-high heat, uncovered, just like this, for about 10 minutes. And once they thicken up, you'll have refried beans. This is for the meat. Now we're going to take 1 teaspoon of olive oil here. All right. This is nice and hot, about medium-high. And oh, I love that sizzle. The rest of the onions and the rest of the garlic. Okay, the onions have browned a little bit. It's been maybe not even 2 minutes. Now it's time to add the ground beef. And I got a half a pound of ground sirloin. The leaner you can make this, the healthier it's going to be, the less fat you're going to have. And you just dump in the ground beef on top of the onion, the ground sirloin. You start to break it up a little bit. And there's a lot of stirring involved here, and at this point, the spices I'm going to add is 1 teaspoon of chili powder, a half a teaspoon of salt, a half a teaspoon of oregano, half a teaspoon of cumin, the same of paprika. So it's basically what they put in taco seasoning. You add this in. You're going to stir this for less than 5 minutes until the meat is done. Cooked through and not pink. By then the beans should be just about ready. And we're going to assemble this nacho platter. Okay, it's time to put this thing together. Let me show you the refried beans, by the way. Look how nice and thick they came out. They cooked for maybe 10 or 12 minutes. Nice and thick, ready to go. And it's a good idea to taste the beans for salt, because not all cans of beans have the same amount of salt. But these are perfect. Perfect. You don't need anything at all. The ground beef is done, you can see, ready to go. And because I use ground sirloin, there's no extra fat to be poured off, so that's also ready to go. Now, I put together a platter. It's like a pizza platter that I had. I line it with foil to save cleanup. You know, why not? Shiny side up to reflect more heat. And I've got the chips. I layer the chips in one layer because I think that helps keep it from getting soggy. And this is the brand of chips that I use. I find them in most of the stores. I use reduced fat chips. They're nice and crunchy and crisp, and just no reason to use the full fat ones. And I do them in kind of one layer. And in the center section, if you want, because that's where it might tend to get a little soggy, you can kind of double the layers, but I try to match up the chips a little bit so you can kind of pick them up. So you can double a few in the middle, and but I try to just keep them kind of one layer mostly, so I think that's good. Now, it's time to start putting all the toppings on. Now we're going to start with the ground beef. And this is a very hearty meal, by the way, which is why I say you can have it for dinner. So I just start to pour the meat all over. It's a little bit messy, but you try to kind of land some on every chip. And so what happens is every chip hopefully has some of the ground beef, some of the beans, and a little bit of everything else. All right, next is the refried beans. I use a spoon to kind of do a little bunch of the beans on each one of the chips. You can see how thick these are, and boy, like I said, homemade refried beans, 10 minutes, easy as pie. Well, pie's not that easy, but easy to do. Now, look at these peppers. Now you'll see why this is such a healthy plate of nachos. All these the colored peppers are full of antioxidants. The tomatoes have drained, and they're just about ready to go. And I still like to, I had a paper towel here. I still like to put the tomatoes in a paper towel just to get the extra moisture out. Look at how much came out of the tomatoes already. But because you don't want any extra moisture, I still kind of pat them in a towel. All right? So we've got tomato, yellow, orange, all the different colored peppers, onion. Now let's talk about the peppers for a second. The pepper I have here is an Anaheim pepper. This is the one I prefer because it's kind of a little bit on the milder side, not too spicy. If you want it spicy, use a jalapeno pepper, but these are very spicy. And if you're going to cut this, which I'll do, you need to use a pair of gloves, because if you do it and then you touch your eye, you're going to regret it. Very hot, and it really burns your eyes. We'll start with the tomatoes that have dried out nicely. And again, it's kind of a messy job, but it's fun. This is fun for kids too. Everybody can get their hands in and just kind of spread things around. There's a tomato, colored peppers. Orange and yellow peppers are good for the eyes. They protect your eyesight. They're good for the lungs, protect the health of your lungs. And you got red tomatoes and red peppers. And red peppers have more vitamin C than an orange. Here's the Anaheim peppers that I like, but we're going to make this extra spicy with the jalapenos. Look at this. Oh my gosh. My eyes are watering already. Isn't this gorgeous? Look at this. Beautiful. All right. So you kind of look and make sure you don't have it too much in one place. Onions. You can use green onions here too if you like. They may have a little bit of more spice to them, but the white makes it really pretty. I use reduced fat cheese. You don't need to use full fat cheese. That's another reason why this is so healthy. You can use only cheddar, but jack cheese is kind of traditional, so you can mix them up like this, and then this is the final topping right here. You just spread the cheese on. Reduced fat cheese doesn't mean you use twice as much, by the way. So again, try to make sure you've got everything covered. And see, I didn't use quite, I think I used about 6 to 7 ounces here. Okay? All right. Look at that. This is dinner right here. This goes in the oven, which is preheated at 425 for about 10 minutes. And then they're done. Okay, it's been 10 minutes. I think they're done. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. I like when the chips brown just a little bit on the edges. So these are perfect. Look at this. Now, it's important to serve these while they're hot, so you have to serve it right away. And this is so beautiful. It's low in fat. It's got protein, fiber, vegetables, hot peppers. You know, hot peppers help you burn calories, so there's a good reason to eat those. So this is it. If you thought your nachos were good, these just might be better.